Let's get ready for a crash, my friends. This economy in the United States is going to crash. We're heading towards a recession. Many experts believe we're already in one, while others believe that it will start sometime in early 2026. I'm David Thompson, and today we're going over more indicators that are flashing red that the U.S. economy is heading into a deep recession. Stay tuned. Okay, we're sitting down now here at the trail, and I will tell you that I'm going to put in the description box the first two videos of this series about the leading economic indicators that are showing that the United States economy is heading towards recession. Pretty much a guaranteed recession. Okay, so first of all, I talked about GDP in my first two videos. Gross domestic product. What's happening there? Now, the reason I'm going to bring this up again is because I got a little more information I want to reveal to you. If you remember, I told you that basically GDP went up 3.8 to 3.8%. Straight up. Oh, people were cheering. Everybody's going to be rich again. Hold on there, Professor. No, that's not true. Why did it shoot up to 3.8% when all these other indicators are flashing red? Well, I'll tell you why. Back in the day, before all the tariffs took place and pretty much raised prices for people buying product from overseas, a lot of these companies bought a lot of stock. They bought millions of dollars worth of inventory before the tariffs. They bought pre-tariff prices. Okay, pre-tariff prices would have been lower than what happens after the tariff hits, right? So that money that they spent goes to GDP. It reflects in GDP. It raises GDP upward. That's why it spiked. One-time deal, right? Because obviously no one's going to go buy hundreds of millions of dollars worth of inventory now when prices are up across the board, across the world. If you take all that out, if you do the math and you take all that money, additional money spent by these, basically these people bringing in inventory for their stores and their factories, our total growth was 0.9%. That's barely pushing the needle. You know, it's barely pushing the needle. Now, many experts, as I mentioned in the other videos, are saying that this quarter, the fourth quarter of 2025 and early 2026, GDP will drop off the map, possibly go negative. So what is that saying? Red flag, red flag, red alert, red alert. Recession basically ahead. Number two, I'm going to talk about payrolls. Now, let's face it. Payrolls show a lot in the economy. The higher the payrolls, the more people hired, the stronger the economy. And it's just the opposite. When you start laying off people and you start firing people, it's telling you there's a weakness in the economy. For 4 straight months, we completely failed on basically creating new jobs in America. In June, we only added 92,000 jobs, if you remember. We needed 200,000 jobs to break even. We didn't even get half of that. Why? Because people are getting fired. They don't need them. See, generally speaking, 200,000 jobs is pretty easy to get. But in a recession or pre-recession, people start laying off, start firing. They have to control their bottom line. They want their profits to be up, not down. So basically, they're firing people. What is that telling you? Again, that's telling you this is a precursor to a recession. Now, experts think unemployment, which is at about 4.1% now, can be as high as 4.5% by December. That's a lot. Christmas time, right? Here's your walking papers. You're fired at Christmas time. Others believe it could go as high as 5% or over. If it does go 5% or over, that's trouble. That means people are running out of money. The economy is in a death spiral. And it's almost impossible to stop, really it is, because everything ripple effects upon each other. The dominoes start falling, it's hard to get ahead of them, to pull the few dominoes out of the way so they don't take the rest of it down. Well, we get a feeling that's going to happen here. Number 3, friends. Since February, the LEI has been red, has been showing weakness. 6 months in a row. Now, if this happens 6 months in a row, if the leading economic index basically drops for 6 straight months in a row, there's a 70%. I didn't stutter there. There's a 70% chance that we're heading towards recession. That's a pretty good shot, don't you think? 70% chance. So you might ask, well, if a recession's coming, when? And how bad will it be? See, this is a guess for me, but there is a pattern to this. The guess to me is mid-2026. Now, many people believe it's happening right now. I'm not one of them. I think we're seeing the early signs of it, but I think it could reveal itself in 2026. Again, speculation. Remember, our economy is a big economy. A lot of the doomsday people over the years, and I was one of them for a while, kind of thought we're all on the edge of the precipice. We're going to fall over. But the American economy is resilient. It's huge. It's huge. But that doesn't mean that things aren't happening right now that will hurt many, many, many Americans, millions of Americans. In fact, many areas are already in recession. You just don't hear about it. The news doesn't report that. For whatever reason. I'm not going to pick on the news. I've done that a lot in my past. Listen, they're clueless. They don't understand. They don't do research. They just get the numbers the government gives them, the president gives them, or some doomsday foreteller tells them, okay? I'm here to give you facts and information. And these are hard facts. So the next one I want to talk about, the next indicator of a recession is inflation. We're stuck, right? Real wages are shrinking and inflation is going up. Right now, we're stuck at 3.1%. Now keep in mind, the Federal Reserve, they have a target for inflation. It's 2%. I don't know why that really is. Others don't, and maybe they have a reason they want 2% inflation, but we're at 3.1, and I think we're probably higher than that. According to other numbers, we could be at 3.4% inflation. Prices are still going up. Gas went up again. Gas went up again. What happened to lower gas prices? See, let me stop here a minute. The President of the United States has very little he can do about gas prices. Joe Biden did get involved with gas prices. What did Joe Biden do? He sold off the reserves. That dropped the price of fuel because he flooded the market with more fuel, with more inventory. Supply and demand. It's really how it works. And I know people think there's another secret formula here. Supply and demand's the big thing. It really is. How much people produce compared to how much is used. And sometimes they reduce what they produce to get the prices to go up. But Biden used our reserves, whatever you think about that, to drop the oil price. I didn't agree with it at the time. I still don't agree with it. But it did drop prices. It kept them stable. But see, there's no real magic fix here. All the money that we were going to put into drilling oil isn't happening. Takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and it's very expensive to drill today. Very expensive. Some of the reserves under the ground are extremely deep and cost a lot of money. So to let you know how it works, if you're an oil driller, you need investments, an influx of money to drill. Most people want to see gas prices over $100 a barrel, $120 a barrel. They're nowhere near that right now. So many aren't going to drill. Plus, you have to refine it. There's more to it. Canada pulled their sales to America, and they're now selling oil to the Far East and to other countries. See, this worked all against us. I want to digress there because so many people miss how oil prices are controlled or not controlled. There's not a guy behind the counter. We're just going to purposely raise gas prices. That's a conspiracy theory. Has it happened? There's probably times it did. But it's more transparent today, and we also can see demand. We can also see supply worldwide. Numerous groups track that. Numerous groups, not related to the oil companies. So it's very hard to just come out and fake it. So gas prices are going up. Another problem for the average American. Their wages aren't going up. In fact, our paychecks only went up about 3.6%. The problem is that everything's going up past this. Many things are well over 3.1%. Fuel prices are, food prices are, so you're not really getting ahead. Now, credit card interest, for instance, is up 14% at least. So if you're only getting a 3.6, and let me back off here, 3.6% is not everybody. Most people don't get 3.6% more out of their paychecks. Most people are going backwards. Okay, this isn't a flat answer to everything. Many people have got increases that are about 3.6% on their paychecks year over year. But that's not everybody. That wasn't me. That wasn't most people. So if you're paying 14% on credit cards, how are you surviving then? Because your money that you're saying that you're making over the inflation rate is going to pay credit card interest. 14% more. Some credit cards are 34%. America is dying on credit card debt. Basically, delinquencies, I believe, are up 3.8% on credit cards. People aren't paying them. Credit cards are at the highest level they've ever been in history. Every year I report this, it's higher than it was the last year. It's like a broken record. I come on here and I say, well, credit cards now highest point it ever has been. The debt at higher interest rates. See, this all works, and I think you have to understand. There isn't always just one thing that affects a family. There's multiple angles to this. All of it eventually comes back to how it affects you and me. GDP, well, that doesn't affect you directly right now, but it's a point that I make, that it's showing, it's flashing red that there's a problem with the economy you're living in. Jobs, you may still be working, but all the people who aren't, flashes red that more of them are not working, more people are being laid off, companies are going out of business. Starbucks is closing stores everywhere. So are a lot of the other big chains. Jobs lost. Why? Because people aren't going there. It's expensive to go to some of these companies to eat and to drink. Even though it looks like everything's busy, it doesn't take a lot of downward push to make companies start to lose some of their profits. Once they see their profits go down, guess what happens? They start closing stores. They're not going to, succumb to being, put into bankruptcy. Some will go into bankruptcy, just to add that. So here's the other thing, the savings that people have. The amount of savings is now at its lowest point since 2022. Lowest point. Savings is another factor. When you don't have savings and your car breaks, or your hot water tank breaks, or your roof goes bad, or your air conditioning or heating system goes bad, falls here, temperatures are going to get cold. People are going to turn on their furnaces, and nothing's working. $170 just to come out and look at it, and some to vary. Those calls, service calls, plus whatever it costs to fix the furnace. Okay, let me stop here and just let you know that, hey, if you enjoy our content, A, first, watch it to the end. B, hit the like button, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share our videos. We're trying very hard to get you information about politics, geopolitics, our economy. We have pretty much our foot into every door in this country. We're trying to explain to you what's happening without political bias, although many people think, well, you're too biased, you're left. Listen, I've crashed the left as well. But right now, the things that are happening are due pretty much to a whole different change in our system. So keep that in mind before you kind of judge me on that. So hit like, subscribe, and share. Hit the bell icon. Hitting that gets you notified. It'll release a notification to you when I've released a new video. And please make sure you tell your friends about us. Enjoy our videos. We appreciate you. We want you to be a part of our family here. Family of giving truth to those who probably get a lot of echo chamber results from their searches on YouTube and their friends. So many people only have certain people they listen to, and they all have the same story. And usually that story's wrong. And then it's repeated and it's wrong again. Listen, I'm going to get you good information. This information here is right off the presses. This is researched information. No one's fixing it, rigging it, changing it. This is the data we needed to know. We need to know to show what's happening in our economy. So the next thing I want to talk about is the credit crunch. Again, very important. Most people don't understand this because you don't deal with it. The country and the world is run on credit, borrowed money. It's the way it works. Whether it's the U.S. selling bonds or a company going to a bank for a loan, or you going out for a loan to get your roof put on. It's based on credit. Okay? No one's talking about credit and the credit crunch because, again, it's out of sight, out of mind. It isn't affecting them. But this is affecting people. The government's own survey said that banks are making it harder to get loans again. Loans for businesses are now negative for the first time since 2020. Now, we all remember 2020. Right, that was the great coronavirus shutdown of the country, of the world. This is a huge deal, my friends. Huge. They're not getting those loans. If you get cut off from money, you have no choice but to what? Lay off people, to fire people, to reduce your expenses. See, this is what it's about, right? If you had a business, you have 10 employees, and you're not making enough to pay all 10 of them, guess what? You got to get rid of some people. You got to cut back. And when you start cutting back, whether it's people or things you buy, that affects the economy. It's a ripple effect. For instance, if you're buying pizza dough from a company and basically your business falls back and you're selling less pizza, you don't buy as much pizza dough that month, right? So that company is not selling as much to you and probably to other vendors, to other companies. Guess what? Then at some point they have to say, hey, listen, our business is down. The warehouse people, the delivery drivers, we have to start laying off. See how it works? It's a ripple effect. At the same time, the number of people who can't pay their credit card bills is the highest it's been since 2011, as I mentioned. Banks are secretly raising the credit scores you need to get credit limits. Okay, so basically, if you have a credit score, which is what your loans are based on, they look at your credit score. They're raising what the score needs to be. So if you're at a 700, maybe for you to get that loan, you better be at a 750. They do it on purpose to cut back, the amount of money they have to loan out because it's risk. Remember, risk is part of this as well. It's risky to, for instance, give a company $100,000 when you know that their company's starting to shrink. You may say, no, you're not a good credit risk anymore. You may not pay this back. Credit is what keeps the world going. If credit dries up, everything, I repeat, everything shuts down. Think about it, because everything runs on credit. Those container ships that come in, that's all credit. Soon as they hit the port, they want paid. That's on credit. If you haven't got any credit, you're not getting your ship unloaded. If you want to, like I said, expand your business and you go to the bank, you need credit. You're not going to pay cash to put a new building on or buy a new machine. But if credit has dried up, you're not getting that loan. You're not expanding. And if you're not expanding, you might then have to lay off. See how it all works together? Now, I want to go over one last thing, timing. As I mentioned before, timing. Everybody wants to predict something. I have in the past, and I've usually put a caveat in there. Listen, I don't know. The American economy is massive. It's one of the largest economies in the world, the largest economy in the world. China is really close by. India, maybe a few steps behind that. But America's economy affects everybody's economy, or it used to. So it's really hard to say, hey, listen, these indicators show me it's going to be a recession on January 1st. No, because just like I mentioned with GDP, how it can kind of be lifted up a little bit. You can always lift things up. Tax credits, all those companies that brought all those goods into the country before the tariffs caused those prices to go up, increased GDP. Labor, we can kind of sometimes look at labor and not talk about it. We're not going to talk about the fact that all these companies are laying off people. We'll look at the U3 labor numbers, as I mentioned, and they're always lower. We're not really seeing the full picture of what's happening in this economy. Those U6 numbers, as I've told you, the U6 numbers show a little better and clearer picture of our economy, of our labor force. That's well above 8% and climbing. As I mentioned, credit could dry up. There's a lot of problems. The leading economic index indicating a recession, pretty much a 70% chance of recession. It's red flagging, it's ringing the bell. Many analysts from places like Goldman Sachs are screaming warning signals that the economy is slowing down. The question is, how fast is it slowing down? Donald Trump's doing his best to slow it down pretty quick. We're looking at a a vast array of issues across this country. We're looking at tariffs taking a toll on just about every business that has to bring in products to America. Now, some places are going to start making products here. Fantastic. Sometimes that's not wise. Sometimes it's very costly. But there's certain items we could make. But that's not going to be the saving grace for America. Most of the industry is gone. And as America distances itself from its allies, from its trading partners, which it has, they're going to trade with us less, as you know from the farming industry. I did the farming video. I'll put that link in the description box as well, if you haven't seen it. Explain how farmers are very upset because no one's buying their products overseas. That was a big market. China canceled soybean orders. There's plenty of places that have not bought our farming products anymore, our agricultural products. Why? Donald Trump and tariffs. You see, that's going to affect the whole farming community, which in ripple effect affects everybody that makes fertilizer, seeds, makes equipment for tractors, makes tractors and farming equipment. That affects all of them. Family farms will go out of business. Now, granted, I will say this. I respect the American farmer. I want a farm. Listen, if you can get me a farm in this area, I'll take it. I can't afford one, but if you can help me out and give me a farm with a nice house on it, I'll take it because I love the farm. I'd be out there. I love it. But keep in mind with many of these big farms across the country, they were right-wing farmers. They voted for Trump. They voted against their own best interests, like many people did. Now they want a bailout. And I did the video, watched the video. Listen, I sympathize, I do. But what did you expect was going to happen when the President of the United States told you that he's going to get rid of all your pretty much low-income labor? Having said that, it's a dilemma. It's a problem. Listen, I'm not here to disrespect anybody. Sometimes we all make mistakes. I don't know how to fix this now because obviously they want a bailout. But what about all the other industries that he hurt? Should everybody get a bailout? I guess so. It should be that way, right? But having said all that, my friends, timing is everything, as they say. And I think a lot of analysts believe we are in a recession now, very early stages of it. There's signs of hyperinflation. Again, just signs, glimmers in the distance. You see it there. It's there somewhere. And it sometimes rears its ugly head out of the woods. Sort of like Bigfoot. Okay? Bigfoot, you see him in the woods, but he's not. He's in the woods. And it's hard to make out. But soon it's going to be out in the open. And I believe as we get through December and November, months that people usually spend a lot of money. Now we'll see what the numbers are after the fact. But people do, no matter what, spend money. They're going to go spend money on all their dinners and all their out-the-dinner things, toys, whatever it is. That is always going to happen. Maybe not as much as the year before, but it's always based on credit cards. And that's how it works, because America is a world of consumerism. So it's hard to use this quarter as a benchmark for anything. When you get into January, February, and March, there could be some trouble there. And when we get into the second quarter of 2026, I think that's when you'll start seeing this hammer us into the face. We're going to get hammered in the face, friends. Boom, boom. We're going to take one to the face. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it. There's no congressman that's going to help you because basically those Republican congresspeople, both the House and the Senate, they voted against you. The big, beautiful bill isn't going to help you. That's going to come into fruition in the new year. Millions of people will not have health care. Millions of people will not be able to get SNAP payments for food. That affects, again, a ripple effect throughout those industries that live off of that as well. Stores, right? Stores aren't going to get the benefit of people using government money to buy food. What else will it attack? It's going to attack the healthcare industry. Hospitals will go out of businesses. Clinics will go out of business. People will not be able to afford medications. You're going to see a downplay of everything in the healthcare world because of the big beautiful bill. And healthcare benefits, or should I say healthcare premiums, for people that have used the system to purchase healthcare, they're going to see their premiums double and triple. People have already told me that. Their premiums have gone up double and triple for the new year. Well, if they can pay for it, and they have to pay for it if they have health issues, that extra money is going to take away from anything else they buy. See the ripple effect, how it works? The economy is not a simple thing, my friends. It's not like you think. Too many people think so narrow-mindedly that it's A and B, but it's not just A and B. It's the whole alphabet of things that happen that are affected by policies, bad decisions, people that get poorer. Rich people don't go and spend their money. They buy expensive items, yachts and things. Maybe those places will have a tick up, but everybody else isn't getting the tax benefits, isn't able to pay for health insurance at twice the rate or 3 times the rate as the year before. Pay for gasoline 20 cents higher a gallon. Pay for food or clothing. Clothing's absurd. Cars are absurd. The car business is another shambles. You can't get a decent loan on a car. I can't afford to buy it. You see my Jeep behind me here, 2008. I cannot afford to replace it. I keep it running with duct tape. I can't replace it with hardly anything. It's paid off. If I go to buy a used car, interest rates are high, I'm still paying, unless I buy another junker with the same mileage. Why would I do that? Other people have the same issues. All of this affects people who work at the car industry, who work in repair shops. You see, it's a connected world. And once you fiddle with it once you make a wrong decision, a bad decision, it affects everything exponentially. So I'm looking for a real downturn next year. That's my opinion. I'm an analyst, but I'm not an expert. And the people who claim they're experts, they've been wrong a lot. All I can say is all those indicators we've talked about in these 3 videos are pointing down. And I will, again, put all 3 links in the description box. I will also link my video for the farmers, about how the farmers are affected, in the description box. Please like, subscribe, and share our videos. Hit the bell icon. We'll let you know when we have a new video out. And I'm going to have a box up here that's linked to a playlist. Hit that and go through all of our videos. I know you'll love them. We get into a lot of detail on a lot of topics. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Again, God bless you. And I'll see you next time right here on the David Tomsic Show. By the way, don't forget to love your neighbor as yourself. See ya.